The dinner table fell into a heavy silence as my mother-in-law, Eleanor Sullivan, slammed her expensive handbag onto the wooden table. "This has gone on long enough," she announced, pulling out a stack of papers. "I've hired private investigators to dig into your past, Linda. It's time Michael learns the truth about you." I maintained a calm expression, feeding my 6-month-old daughter her meal as I let the words sink in. My husband, Michael, looked between the two of us, clearly confused. "Mom, what are you talking about?" Eleanor spread the papers across the table, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "Your wife isn't just a secretary at Morgan Enterprises like she claims. She's been lying about everything. If only she knew how right and wrong she was at the same time. Yes, I wasn't just a secretary. I was the CEO and majority owner of Morgan Enterprises, working in secret to investigate a string of shady acquisitions. But I couldn't reveal that yet, not until we figured out who was trying to take over my company. These investigations show," Eleanor continued smugly, "that she's been accessing confidential files, attending covert meetings, and hiding her true activities." Michael looked at me, hurt in his eyes. "Linda, is this true?" I began, but Eleanor was on a roll. "She's clearly trying to steal company secrets. Why else would a mere secretary have access to the CEO's private documents?" She turned to Michael. "Darling, I've already contacted our lawyers. We can annul this marriage for fraud." What Eleanor didn't know was that her own recent actions had triggered alarms in our security system. Anonymous companies trying to purchase Morgan Enterprises stock, strange emails from offshore accounts, all traced back to the Sullivan family's private server. "Think about it," Eleanor pressed. "Have you ever met her boss? This mysterious CEO she works for? No one has, because she's been lying." Michael was torn. We met when he came to fix our IT systems, me pretending to be a secretary, him unaware I was the one running the company. It had been real, falling in love with someone who didn't know the truth about me. "There's more," Eleanor added with a cold smile. "I've already spoken to the board at Morgan Enterprises. They're very interested in the things I've uncovered about their employee." My phone buzzed with an urgent message from my head of security, Laura G.N.T. "Sullivan Industries attempting hostile takeover. Emergency board meeting scheduled for tomorrow." Eleanor was right. It was time for the truth to come out. Just not the truth she was expecting. At that moment, my daughter knocked her bowl over, splattering Eleanor's precious papers with baby food. "You can't even control your child," Eleanor sneered. "How could you possibly be anything more than a secretary who tricked my son into marriage?" I stood up slowly, wiping my daughter's face. "You're right, Eleanor. It's time everyone knew the truth." I took out my phone and pressed a single button. "Send in the files." The doorbell rang. Eleanor's confident smile began to falter. The door opened to reveal James Parker, Morgan Enterprises' chief legal officer, accompanied by a team of serious-looking executives. Members of the board Eleanor thought she'd been in contact with. James nodded at my mother-in-law politely. "I believe you've been expecting us. But not like this." Eleanor's perfectly manicured hands trembled. "I don't understand. I spoke with the board yesterday." "No," James corrected, setting down his briefcase. "You spoke to actors hired by your investigator. The real board has been monitoring your activities closely." Michael's face turned pale as he pieced things together. "Mom, what have you done?" James pulled out a laptop, displaying emails and financial documents. "Mrs. Sullivan has been attempting a hostile takeover of Morgan Enterprises through a network of shell companies. Unfortunately for her, she tried to take from the wrong person." "That's absurd," Eleanor cried. "I was protecting the company from her." She pointed at me. "She's the one accessing confidential files." "Of course she is," James said, smiling. "They're her files." The room was still, except for the sound of my daughter happily playing with her spoon. "What do you mean, her files?" Michael asked quietly. I took a deep breath. "My full name is Linda Morgan Chen. I'm not the secretary to the CEO. I am the CEO and majority owner of Morgan Enterprises." Eleanor let out a laugh, shaking her head in disbelief. "Impossible. The CEO is a reclusive genius who never shows their face. Everyone knows that." "Yes," James agreed. "A carefully curated persona that allowed Miss Morgan to work alongside her employees while uncovering corporate espionage, like a mother-in-law using her son's credentials to hack our systems." Michael's face drained of color. Mom, you used my security access? Every time you worked late, I explained softly. Your mother's team was using your credentials to probe our systems. We detected it months ago, but needed more information to uncover the full operation. Eleanor's composure finally shattered. You don't understand. Sullivan Industries is failing. We needed this acquisition to survive. James continued, pulling out more documents. We also uncovered some interesting transfers from your company's pension fund. Before he could continue, Eleanor grabbed her phone and pressed a button. Suddenly, every computer screen in the house lit up with the same message. If I'm going down, she spat, I'm taking your precious company's secrets with me. What she didn't notice was my daughter, still playing with her spoon, happily pressing buttons on her toy phone. I handed my daughter a toy phone, unaware that it would disrupt Eleanor's entire plan. Data transfer complete. The screens flashed, and Eleanor's triumphant grin faded as the displays shifted to show a cartoon baby giggling. What is this? She demanded, clearly flustered. I calmly picked up my daughter's toy. It's a decoy network. Did you really think I'd let you access our actual systems through Michael's home office? Every file you thought you were stealing was a fake, set up just for you. Impossible. Eleanor's perfect composure was slipping. Our tech team confirmed it, Michael said, realization dawning on his face. You mean the same team that helped you drain our employees' pension funds? James nodded solemnly. We have evidence that Sullivan Industries has been systematically siphoning off pension funds to fuel this takeover attempt. Over 3,000 employees' retirement savings gone. Eleanor's phone rang, and her face drained of color as she read the message. No, this can't be happening. That would be the SEC, James explained. They're raiding Sullivan Industries offices as we speak. Your board members are being arrested. But Eleanor wasn't paying attention. Her eyes were glued to her phone, her fingers flying over the screen. You think you've won? I still have one card to play, she said with a wicked smile. Tell them about Project Phoenix, Linda. Tell them what Morgan Enterprises is really working on. I felt the blood drain from my face. Project Phoenix was our most classified initiative, a quantum computing breakthrough that could transform global communications. Only a select few within the company knew about it. How do you know about Phoenix? I asked, my voice tight. Eleanor's smile widened. I have someone on the inside. Someone much closer than you think. She cast a meaningful glance at Michael. My husband stood frozen, his face unreadable. Michael, I whispered, panic rising. What is she talking about? I'm so sorry, Linda, he said softly, but there's something I never told you about why I came to work at Morgan Enterprises. The room seemed to chill as my world tilted on its axis. But before Michael could say more, our daughter let out a joyful squeal and pressed another button on her toy phone. Suddenly, the screens around us filled with new data, information that left both Michael and Eleanor stunned. Project Phoenix isn't what you think, I said quietly, as the screens revealed the true purpose of our quantum research. It was never about communications technology. Our daughter giggled again, pressing more buttons on her toy phone, which was actually a quantum-encrypted controller connected to Morgan Enterprises' real network. It's about protection, Michael added, his voice filled with dawning understanding. You were building a defense system. Eleanor gaped at the screens. I don't understand. Our intelligence said. Your intelligence was exactly what we wanted you to find, I replied, because the real purpose of Project Phoenix is to detect and prevent corporate espionage, like tracking someone trying to siphon off employee pension funds. The screen displayed a web of financial transactions, mapping every attempt Sullivan Industries had made to hide their activities. But Michael? Eleanor turned to her son, desperation in her eyes. You said you found evidence of illegal research. The files you accessed were planted, Michael said, because I already knew the truth about Phoenix. I've known for months. I was taken aback, you knew? He smiled gently. I figured it out 3 months ago, the quantum signatures, the algorithms. It could only be defensive technology. That's when I started feeding my mother false information. Eleanor's face twisted with rage. You betrayed me, your own mother. You betrayed your employees, Michael shot back. Their savings, their futures. And for what? Corporate greed? James stepped forward, holding more documents. Mrs. Sullivan, we've recovered all the pension funds. They've been returned to their rightful owners with interest. But the takeover, Eleanor sputtered, was never going to succeed. I finished, because Project Phoenix had already blocked every attack vector. Your entire plan was foiled from the start. At that moment, our daughter threw her quantum controller, knocking over Eleanor's handbag and spilling its contents, including a flash drive labeled Phoenix data. Your final evidence? I asked, picking up the drive. It contains nothing but baby photos, which honestly is quite fitting. As FBI agents arrived to arrest Eleanor, Michael turned to me. I should have told you what I knew, and I should have told you who I really was. No more secrets, I replied. He smiled, lifting our daughter. No more secrets. 1 year later, Morgan Enterprises' quantum defense system now protects businesses around the world from corporate theft. Eleanor serves time for pension fraud, teaching financial literacy to fellow inmates, a fitting punishment for someone who stole retirement dreams. Michael now heads our cybersecurity division, using his skills to help others instead of hiding them. Our daughter has a real toy phone now, though she sometimes misses her quantum controller. As for me, I still work alongside my employees regularly, but now they know who I am. The best way to protect something valuable isn't to hide it. It's to build a community strong enough to defend it together. Project Phoenix wasn't just about quantum computing or corporate defense. It was about rising from the ashes of old secrets to build something transparent and lasting. Eleanor's former office at Sullivan Industries is now a daycare center for our employees' children. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about making sure the next generation never faces the same battles. Thanks for watching and see you again in the next video. Stay stunned.